Okay, Jason, so what are we going to do today?
Today, I think we're going to drive around a little bit of Fulton County and look at some addresses on the voter rolls that really just don't make any sense. We're going to look at a couple UPS stores, but I mean, there are bad addresses across Fulton County, well, really across the state, but Fulton is by far the worst. And there are people registered at UPS stores, self-storage locations, overpasses. I mean, you name it, there are people registered there.
We're outside 1441 Woodmont Lane, another one of these suspicious places where a ton of people are registered to vote from. And this is the actual physical place of 1441 and also 1445, two different places where people are able to register to vote. But obviously, this doesn't seem like 139 people live in a tiny place like this. So what's going on here?
Yeah. So this is a virtual mailbox. It's similar to say, the UPS store or one of the other post office boxes. But a lot of these type of places, people will use for legitimate purposes. For example, if I travel a lot, I want to get my mail delivered here. Maybe they open my mail. Different ones have different features, but they might open my mail and scan it for me. So that way I get my mail remotely.
Okay.
However, the law is clear. You need to register to vote where you live. You could have this as your mailing address. You just can't say you live here. 138 people don't live here.
So it's not essentially illegal for people to do this, but it's illegal if you're registered to vote and to say that this is the place where you live at in order to be able to vote, for example, in a Fulton County election. Am I getting this correctly?
That's correct. Maybe they live in a different town, maybe they live in a different county. They can't say they live here, otherwise they're voting for the wrong folks.
And do we know if people that are registered in places like this across Fulton County have actually voted, submitted an election ballot?
Yeah, it's easy to see how many people have voted and who votes from every location. There's they call it the voter history file. So if you know who is registered to vote, you can easily see who has voted at those locations.
And just like in the previous place, if we were to challenge this, essentially we would have our name on there. So people who feel like as if we're trying to suppress their votes can retaliate.
Absolutely. They send the letter out. It clearly shows Jason Frazier is challenging your right to vote, or whomever is doing that, with my name and my personal address. And I've gotten random letters in the mail with no name on it, addressed to me, which is a little shady to not say who it is. But and people have made different videos clearly thinking that I am suppressing the right to vote. All I'm trying to do is get people to follow the law, get the county, who should be never registering people here, to do the job properly. In my opinion, there should be a check in the county that says, oh, clearly 138 people don't live here. Maybe that's a problem. Or this is a commercial address, not a residential address, so there should be a check. Just like there's a check if you get a bank account or anything else.
And you've submitted a complaint to the county about places like this, correctly?
Yes.
And their response?
Well, the previous chairs have been very vocal that this creates a lot of work. This is, can I just not do this because it's so much work for the elections department? I'm sorry, the elections department, they have a massive budget. It is the law. They need to do their job. Everybody's had a job. Maybe they don't like every aspect of their job. It is their job to do this.
So we were looking at this together. It says business hours there. That's illegal already, right? For people to be registered to vote, and obviously what is a business.
Right.
And it was about 130 something people that are registered to vote here.
Right. I mean, some people do have home businesses, but clearly 138 people don't live in that back bedroom, if there is one in this house.
No.
That clearly makes this an unlawful.
But you can even see it says this is a commercial address. We are open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Jason, it's blatant. Anybody can see it, literally in big letters. This is a commercial address. Mail belongs to our clients. Again, clients should not be able to vote and say that they live here and then be able to vote from this place. That is the problem here.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, this is shocking. I have to say this.
Not a whole lot of people have the ability to continue doing this kind of work whenever they go after you and target you and say you're suppressing votes. I don't know how I'm suppressing votes by pointing out that 138 people don't live in that virtual mailbox.
Yeah.
Or that, if I'm the mayor and council running in that area, I've got potentially 138 people that live outside of the jurisdiction voting for my opponent. Yeah. That's a problem.
That is a problem. And you mentioned kind of intimidating you or trying to I guess make you not do what you're doing. What are some of these instances of that happening? Besides, I guess people,
Yeah.
I guess somebody challenging you back and stuff like that.
Well, I used to have, before I got started in this, we had a little vegetable stand at our house.
Oh.
Just, we loved to garden, so we had a little vegetable stand and sold some tomatoes and things to the locals. And so since I had a Facebook site, people went on there and started targeting me, calling me a Nazi and other things. So obviously I took that down. And but then there's other things like Georgia Tech, for example. Mm-hmm. In the 2024 November election, they had a team of folks that were targeting misinformation. They actually had my picture in my Twitter account, my X account on there, as somebody that they had in their training manual.
Oh, wow.
So even though I'm only posting facts, I am a risk to disinformation.
Now we're outside one of the buildings that used to be torn down, and we'll put up a picture of what it used to look like on Google Maps just a year ago. And there's the entire neighborhood is just being remodeled. There's a couple homes that aren't being remodeled and they're completely torn down. But you can obviously see that now people live here, but that wasn't the case when a couple years ago when people were registered to vote from this location and there was absolutely nothing here. What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, so I turned these in whenever they were abandoned houses. They were all boarded up, like some of the houses down the street, boards all the way over the windows. Clearly nobody was living there at the time. And if you look at these registrations, odds are it's the same person registered to vote there that was registered 3 years ago when it was boarded up.
You think if we kind of went and knocked on some of these people's homes that, tell them, hey, people are still registered to vote from here from before you remodeled it, what do you think their reaction would be?
I think they would be very surprised. I mean, I have people reaching out to me all the time, and they get a precinct card from somebody. They don't know who they are. Sometimes it might be from 3 prior homeowners. Sometimes it's somebody they've never heard of. But when Fulton County doesn't clean up their voter lists, if you move out of state, you move out of county, maybe you live in Florida now, if you never clean up the voter rolls, you're going to have a lot of extra people. So you might look up your own address and there's 5 extra people there that you don't know.
Did you submit a complaint to the county about specific locations like these abandoned homes where people are registered to vote from?
Yes.
Okay. And the response usually from the county has been the same as previous things?
Yes, I'm creating a lot of work for them. They're frustrated. They do not want me doing this.
So real quickly, you can see that 924 right across the street is being remodeled because this was also abandoned the last time that I looked it up on Google Maps. Again, that's the similar pattern that we see across this street here is all of this was abandoned. You can see it on Google Maps, but now they're finally starting to remodel it. Yeah. And that means that, again, people used to be or still are registered to vote that don't live here anymore. And now new people are going to move in here.
Yeah.
I'm sure that they'll want to register to vote and they'll learn, hey, I'm not the only one that's registered to vote from this location. There's maybe 10 others, 5 others, 6 others. And that's essentially the problem here is that the Fulton County doesn't clean their voter rolls.
Yes.
Is that right?
When people move out of state, Fulton County will not take them off. Even we've had people turn in challenges whenever somebody sells their house here, buys a house in Florida, registers to vote in Florida. They're even voting in Florida and Fulton still won't take them off. They're afraid maybe they'll move back, so we'll leave them on.
Well, maybe they'll move back to a torn down home or something
maybe.
like that.
You just never know.
This is what the other home was supposed to look like, 929. Obviously, they're remodeling it, but we'll put on, again, the Google Maps picture that everybody can see what it actually looked like just a year ago or so.
Yeah.
We don't know if somebody is registered to vote from here, but we came here to show people that just a couple houses down from 929 is 955, and that was the condition of the home where people were registered to vote from. The very first thing I did when I got home after this trip was look up 955 Proctor Street Southwest on my voter list that I literally got January 3rd from the Secretary of State's office. And what do you know? I highlighted and then, of course, I marked out the name there of the person that is registered to vote at the place that you're looking at. Let's go back to the video. It's common sense for elected officials to see a place like this and say, okay, people aren't obviously living here. No reason for people to register to vote from them.
Right.
You complain to city officials about this. They tried, not they specifically, but the system tries to intimidate you, try to push you away from doing this.
Right.
And then we spoke a little bit about what is the incentive behind this? Maybe it's to make sure that there's more people in a precinct so the county gets even more money to run their elections.
Sure.
What is your solution to this? Because this is just ridiculous that anybody can see this and say, why are people registered to vote from a place that's obviously torn down, says no trespassing, 24-hour video surveillance?
I mean, it's not that complicated. Most people have moved around in their lives. Whenever you move, for example, the magazine folks, the junk mail folks, they know where you live. I don't care how many times you move. There are systems in place to find people. And maybe 10 years ago, this was a beautiful house and somebody did live here. Well, they have moved, they have died, they are somewhere else. Find where they live, register them there, because we want everybody to vote. We want them to vote legally where they actually live. So if you care about the voters, in my opinion, you need to find the voters when they move, re-register them there, and don't leave them lingering here where they clearly do not live today.
I think that's a key thing, is that we're not really trying to expose this so people aren't able to vote. We want everyone that's legally able to vote to actually be able to vote. But when things like this are happening, it's a broken system. A lot of people are registered to vote from homes like this that nobody has lived in a while. So we're just going around and seeing them for ourselves.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
I really
If you
appreciate
got any
you cleaning
questions,
up.
let us know.
I actually do have one question. The last house over there, 929,
Yeah.
have you seen anybody there before?
Yeah.
Like people actually live there?
Yeah.
Well, now,
Fully
after it's been remodeled, right? What about before it was remodeled? It was a torn down place.
Yep.
According to Georgia voter registration rolls, in the previous election cycle, 12 people were registered to vote from 850 Oak Street Northwest. Ask yourself, does this place look like anybody who lives here? Nonetheless, 12 people who are eligible to vote. If we didn't know that this was an abandoned place, we would never be able to tell that this is actually 850 Oak Street Northwest, because as you guys can see, there's no even mailbox here, nonetheless, with a number on it. The only way that I knew that this was 850 Oak Street is by seeing it on Google Maps. And again, 12 people here in the state of Georgia, a battleground state, were registered to vote from a place like this. According to multiple affidavits from the previous election, there's over 1,000 homes like this just in Fulton County, home to Atlanta, Georgia. Now imagine if this is just one of 1,000 places where quote unquote 12 people were registered to vote, how many more places are there?
So Jason, you were telling me that a big reason of why the county seems to not want to do the cleaning up of the voter rolls is that every certain amount of people that you take off the voter rolls, the county actually loses money. Just explain that a little bit better for me.
Yeah. So the way it's situated now is whenever you go to vote, when you go into the precinct in Georgia specifically, we have this screen that you select who you're going to vote for, just a touch screen.
Mm-hmm.
We call it a ballot marking device, BMD for short.
It's the same thing like when I go vote, I click on a person. That's
Yes.
what we're talking about.
Yep,
Okay.
yep, just a little touch screen. So those are sized that for every 250 registrations on the voter rolls, not warm bodies, but every 250 registrations, you have one more BMD.
Okay.
And precincts have a certain number of BMDs. So if you have a lot more registrations, you have more equipment, you have more precincts, it increases the budget for the county and the state.
Sure, and it makes sense. The more people,
Sure.
the more precincts you need in order to let people vote in. And
Absolutely,
Stuff. Yep.
absolutely. You don't want to have long lines. But the problem is whenever you have like Fulton County that has 113% registration rate, clearly you have too many registrants. I'd mentioned before that whenever I first got started, I turned in something like 10,000 extra registrations. These were people that were registered more than once. So if I turn in 10,000 people that have 2 to 5-ish registrations, those all come off. I just reduced the voter roll in Fulton County by 10,000 approximately. So
Now you're taking money away from Fulton County.
I'm taking money away. I'm taking away ballot marking devices. Net, that's going to shut down precincts. It's going to reduce the budget.
Now we're at 205 Elm Street Northwest, Atlanta, Georgia, still in Fulton County. And as you can see, there's absolutely nothing behind me. Yet, people are registered to vote here. Jason, tell us again, what is going on at this location?
Well, this is a very nice house. You see, very nice front yard. It's very open concept.
Estimated value about $1 million.
Of course. Yeah, I mean, this goes back to the same lines. I mean, Fulton County, they don't check the voter rolls. They don't clean the voter rolls. Maybe there was a house here when somebody registered, or maybe there hasn't been a house here in a long time, it looks like.
It looks like there hasn't been, right? There's no like dump site, construction site, something like that. No even you can't even tell that a house ever was here. If I was just to come across here, I think it's just an empty lot, field, which it is.
Yeah.
But yet people are registered to vote here. Now, same question again. You've obviously submitted a complaint to the state about this.
Yeah.
Anybody from the state can come out and see that obviously no one lives here. You can't even make the excuse that Democrats like to make that maybe a homeless person lives here, squats here. So yes, we'll give them the rights. But obviously nothing here. This is the clearest sign of blatant fraud, I would say. And the reason why I say fraud, I know that's a strong statement, is because when it's so obvious, it can't be just an accidental thing, somebody turning a blind eye to it. Obviously, people are benefiting from the fact that people are registered to vote from 205 Elm Street Northwest.
Right. And there's really no excuse. You don't even have to come here. The county has tax records. They know there is no house here. So if you just compare the voter rolls to the tax records of the houses, you know what, there's nothing here. So it would be very easy to just compare two data sets and clean it up.
I know some elected officials are lazy, but when we were doing the research about this place, verifying the place, on Google Maps, you can even see that this is an empty lot. You at home can literally type in the address and see for yourself on Google Maps that this is what this place has looked like for a while. And how many places like this there are around Fulton County where it's an empty lot and people are registered to vote from?
I mean, there are thousands of addresses very similar to this. Sometimes it's a typo, like in Roswell, near where I live, there's somebody that lives at, I think it's 424. On the voter roll, it's 242. There's no house at 242. That might go to an empty lot. It's hard to say. But if there's not a check, if they do not check, which Fulton County is not doing, they're hurting the voter. They're hurting the taxpayer. This person here, they might exist somewhere, but they clearly don't live here. They might have even moved to somewhere else in Georgia, and they're registered there, but they leave them here. So it's get them registered just one time and get them at the right location. That's what's important.
Makes sense. So even if it's a typo, the appropriate response is obviously to have some sort of check to it, whether it's an institution or it's citizens like yourself providing that check. But again, every time that you raise a flag, you submit a complaint about an empty lot and a person registered to vote from them, the county does everything to ensure that, one, they don't do anything about it, but two, to kind of intimidate you to stop citizens from reporting this stuff.
Absolutely. I mean, who wants to be slandered? Who wants to have their name and address put on a piece of paper, sent to a voter, and look like the bad guy? I mean, if I needed a new job, you can just Google my name and you're going to find that I am, all of the bad things that you could ever imagine, just because I'm trying to say there's nobody living here.
Yeah.
Find the guy if they exist and only register them one time, but where they actually live.
This right here is just ridiculous. It's an empty lot. It doesn't require anything more than just to see it on Google Maps that it's an empty lot. And you're saying that this costs taxpayers money as well here in Fulton County. I think that's the most ridiculous part about it. And the other most ridiculous thing, obviously, is when you bring that up to them.
I'm the bad guy.
And you're the bad guy.
So Jason, we were leaving Elm Street now, which I think is probably the most ridiculous location that I've seen so far. Just empty lot, right? You said that you actually testified under oath?
Yeah.
At Senate committee hearings. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so sometimes as they're passing a bill, the legislators want some more background information, just because they've got to know everything from, how many stray dogs there are on the street to somebody not receiving their mail. They've got to know a lot of different things.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I've been doing this for quite a while now. So myself and a handful of other folks I would call experts on this. And I can bring, the actual receipts, like these addresses that don't exist, and why it's important to clean the voter rolls.
Yeah.
And I've read some of the legislation, like one of the statutes says that the counties need to maintain the voter rolls from time to time. Literally, it says from time to time. If I'm running a business, I don't want to, check my inventory from time to time. I want to know, do I have product on the shelf? I want to do it right. But so that's a gap in the legal system.
So the statute doesn't clarify what is time to time.
It's just from time to time.
And then again, what was her name? Bridget?
Bridget Thorne is the good commissioner that asked the question.
She
is fantastic.
Who's the one that was very happy about the fact that
very proud of herself.
Very proud of herself, the fact that they haven't cleaned the rolls at all.
That was Patrice Perkins Hooker. She was the chair of the Fulton County Board of Elections at the time.
Got it. Got to make sure that people aren't registered to vote under a highway bridge, or in general, just an underpass.
Sure.
Which is where we're going to now, right?
It could be a little windy under there. But apparently somebody's registered to vote there.
And we believe that his last name is Lee,
Yes.
which makes it funnier because the street is Lee.
Mr. Lee lives on the Lee Street overpass,
Very interesting.
according
And
to the voter rolls.
I wonder if we will see a home there.
I guess we'll find out.
Usually private residences are pretty quiet. It's really loud, really windy here.
Noisy.
A little noisy. And this is 504
Lee Street Southwest.
Correct. Somebody is registered to vote from here. It happens to be that his last name is Lee as well. So Mr. Lee is registered to vote right here. It's a highway bridge, essentially. So is he registered to live under the bridge?
I don't know. If you look it up in Google Maps, just type in the address. He puts the pin drop literally in the middle of that bridge. I've
Interesting.
driven through there before, and I didn't see Mr. Lee.
Now, maybe this is just a stupid question, but is this legal in Georgia to be registered to vote under a bridge and then be able to actually vote?
I'm not sure how he would get his precinct card. It seems.
You're telling me there's no mailbox here for them to drop off any information?
I haven't seen the mailbox.
No, we're laughing around, but actually this is a serious problem. This is a person that is literally right now on the voter registration list, potentially is able to vote, and this is the place where they're registered from. The usual question, you complained to the county about this, and what was their response?
I'm the bad guy.
You're the bad guy. And why are you the bad guy for pointing out something so ridiculous as that somebody potentially voting from a place like this?
You know, as far as I can tell, it just comes back to money. I mean, if you do not want to clean the voter rolls, if you do not want them right, there's only one logical conclusion.
Ask yourself at home, regardless of what you think about whether homeless people should be able to vote or whatever the case is, should you be able to be on a voter registration list and claim that this area right here is your primary residence? I don't see a house. And this goes against all Georgia laws. The most annoying thing about this is that I'm just a regular person. I can go and do this by myself, but elected officials can literally see this on public available records, see for themselves that this isn't a residential place, and do something about it, but they don't. And that is the most frustrating part about this. It's Mr. Lee's house right here.
Rents out his extra room.
Yep.
Thing that we kind of talked about off camera was I wasn't aware that there's actual evidence that people who are registered to vote in places that obviously either don't exist or aren't there, or it's just illegal for them to be registered like that, they actually do end up voting. That's the case, correct?
Yes. Not everybody.
Yeah.
And for example, let's say I don't know the law and I registered a UPS store.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm not doing it to break the law. I'm just unaware.
Yeah.
So then, let's say I move to another county.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Fulton County may not get a flag that I moved because nobody actually moves from a UPS store.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe they get a new UPS store, so they end up registered twice. And maybe if they're a shady character, they could easily vote in both counties.
Yeah.
Because they're registered in both counties, and myself and just a handful of other people are the only ones that would actually look at that to see that that same person moved and voted twice.
You're probably wondering where we're at. We're actually at a MARTA bus station.
We are hiring bus and rail operators, CDL and CDL permit holders only, journeyman electronic technicians, rail car, and track maintainers.
And apparently there are people who are registered to vote directly from this location right here. It is 1401 Lee Street. Does this look like a place that people live here?
I haven't found any mailboxes. I don't see any beds. It doesn't look like it to me.
Doesn't look too comfy to sleep here. So Jason, explain to us, like with all the other places, people aren't legally able to register to vote from here, yet they ended up on our registration voter rolls. What is going on? What is the state going to do about this?
I'm not sure what the state's going to do about it. I turned in this address to Fulton County a couple of years ago. I turned it into the state a couple of years ago. And then recently I went back through and looked at every one of those that I had turned in and checked to see how many people are still registered to vote at those bad addresses today. and how many votes have been cast at those bad addresses. And my understanding, based on Georgia law, is OCGA 212590 clearly says that that is a felony to knowingly allow somebody to vote illegally. And that, in my opinion, is what's happening here.
I was going to ask you, that's in your opinion, right? That state officials knowingly know what's going on here, yet are continuously allowing people to be still on the voter list from here, right?
Right. I turned it in. They cannot say they didn't know about it.
And we literally have the physical paper that I'm holding in my hand right now of you turning in an official complaint to the county about this exact location.
Right.
And yet people are still registered to vote from here.
Yes.
Just to, I guess, end things for our first trip around Fulton County.
Sure.
If you did have that magic wand to do everything to completely fix the problem in the system, what would you do? Just one or two things?
I mean, you've got to clean up the voter rolls. They've got to be accurate. And let's be honest, when you have 17 days of early voting, that's a gap. When anybody can vote absentee, that's a gap. Mail-in ballots have a lot of risk. When you put it in your mailbox until it gets to the official, a lot of things can happen. One day voting, absentee only where absolutely necessary, and accurate voter rolls are key.
Perfect. Jason, thank you so much. I appreciate you coming around with me today.
All right.
Thank you.